Is when she reaches out after silence, the first thing you need to remind yourself is that this is not the moment to lose your composure or act like you've been waiting on her call or text. Too many men make the mistake of reacting instantly with too much excitement, pouring out energy as if her presence is the missing piece to their happiness. That reaction screams desperation and it kills the mystery that keeps her drawn in. Instead, your most powerful move is to remain calm, collected, and confident. You are not surprised she reached out because deep down you already know your value. You know that women are naturally drawn back to strength, to presence, to a man who doesn't fold just because someone disappeared for a while. Imagine this. She disappears, maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe months. During that time, instead of waiting or worrying, you kept living your life. You didn't send desperate follow ups. You didn't flood her inbox. You didn't beg for attention. You built yourself. You kept your circle strong. You enjoyed your freedom. So when she finally pops up with a message, the key is to show in your response that nothing about your life stopped for her absence. That's the calm confidence she feels, and it's intoxicating. A short, measured reply like, "Hey, good to hear from you," carries far more weight than an essay long text. Your energy says, "I wasn't waiting on you, but I'll acknowledge you." That balance makes her lean in. Confidence in this moment means not over explaining, not interrogating her about why she went silent, not letting your emotions spill over. If you ask, "Where have you been?" or "Why did you ignore me?" you shift the power right into her hands. But if you stay unbothered, you set the tone. You're not affected by her absence. You're not going to give her the satisfaction of seeing you rattled. This doesn't mean being cold or rude. It simply means you respond like a man who has options, who values himself, and who doesn't chase validation from anyone. That attitude is magnetic because it separates you from the majority of men who cave under the pressure of silence. Think about it. Silence was her test. Maybe she pulled back to see if you'd chase. Maybe she got distracted. Maybe she wanted to know if you could handle space without collapsing. And here you are, proving that your world doesn't revolve around her. That's exactly why she reaches back out. And if in that moment you come off as needy, the attraction dies instantly. But if you respond with calm composure, she feels that masculine strength again. That's what reignites her curiosity. Your calmness also protects you from overcommitting. Because just because she reached out doesn't mean her intentions are serious. Sometimes it's boredom, sometimes it's ego, sometimes it's just a breadcrumb. By keeping your response measured, you create room for her actions to show whether she's really invested or not. And if she is, she'll escalate, she'll text again, she'll suggest meeting, she'll start giving you more energy. But none of that happens if you give away your power by being too eager. So when she reaches out after silence, your mindset should be, "I'm glad you remembered me, but I'm still the same man who kept moving forward without you." That calm energy radiates strength. It makes her feel like she needs to earn your time again. And that's exactly how it should be. Because at the end of the day, the first test you pass is within yourself, controlling your emotions and keeping your confidence steady when she finally comes back. And if you master that, you set the tone for every interaction that follows. When she finally reaches out after a period of silence, one of the biggest mistakes a man can make is rushing to give her all his attention at once. It's natural to feel a spark of excitement when someone who disappeared suddenly shows up again, but that excitement must be controlled. The second key lies in pacing yourself and matching her level of effort. If she sends a casual text, you don't respond with a novel. If she throws out a light, "Hey, how have you been?" you don't start pouring your heart out about how much you missed her. Instead, you mirror her energy because doing so keeps you balanced, keeps you grounded, and shows her that your world is still intact. The reality is, when a woman reaches out after silence, she's testing the waters. She wants to see if she still holds your attention, if you're still available, and if you still value yourself. By controlling how much attention you give her in return, you signal that you are not desperate for her validation. You're simply acknowledging her presence while maintaining your self respect. Too many men jump into overdrive, showering her with compliments, begging to meet, or showing frustration about her silence. That only feeds her ego and pushes her away again. By pacing your response, you're giving her just enough to stay interested while still leaving room for her to invest more. Think of it like a dance. If she takes one step toward you, you don't sprint across the room. You take one step too. That's the rhythm that builds attraction. She wants to feel like she's earning your attention again, not that you're handing it over without her proving anything. This is how you create balance. You don't ignore her, but you also don't overwhelm her. You stay steady, measured, and composed, and that composure becomes the foundation for attraction to grow again. It's important to understand that attention is a currency. The more freely you give it, the less valuable it becomes. If she went silent for weeks and you immediately flood her with energy the moment she returns, what message are you sending? You're saying that she can disappear and reappear whenever she wants, and you'll always be waiting. That doesn't build respect. But if you give her attention gradually in proportion to her effort, you show her that your time and energy are not cheap. You show her that she has to bring value if she wants to be part of your world again. Pacing yourself also allows you to observe her intentions. If she's only reaching out to feed her ego, she'll stop when you don't overgive. But if she's genuinely interested, she'll push forward. She'll ask questions. She'll suggest plans. Your measured responses open the door for her to reveal what she truly wants. By holding back just enough, you give her space to show whether she's serious or not. And that protects your emotional energy while keeping the interaction balanced. The man who masters this principle is the man women chase. Why? Because he never appears too available, too eager, or too desperate. He values his attention and gives it out wisely. This makes her feel like she has to win him over again. And that's exactly what sparks attraction. She'll want to prove herself, to put in the effort, to make you see her differently. That's the natural flow of human psychology. What's not given freely is always valued more. So when she reaches out after silence, don't lose your frame by smothering her with energy. Match her effort, keep your attention measured, and make her earn back the space she once held in your life. By doing this, you not only protect yourself from falling into the same patterns that led to silence before, but you also create a dynamic where she feels drawn back into your orbit by choice, not out of convenience. When she finally reaches out after silence, your instinct might be to jump right into asking her to meet up or demanding an explanation for why she pulled away, but the smarter approach is to keep the interaction light, playful, and without any pressure. The third key point is all about creating a relaxed environment that allows her to feel comfortable reconnecting. If you come across as too intense, she will retreat again. But if you keep things casual and fun, she will naturally want to invest more in the conversation and eventually move closer. A woman reaching out after silence is often testing the waters, not making a full commitment. She might want to see how you respond, whether you're still upset or if you've been waiting for her. By keeping your tone light, you reassure her that you're not holding resentment and you're not overly invested. That subtle vibe tells her that you're not desperate to pull her back, but at the same time, you're not shutting her out. For example, if she sends a simple hey instead of replying with where have you been, why did you disappear, you respond with something easygoing like, hey stranger, look who finally remembered me. This type of response is playful and sets the stage for a fresh, positive interaction. Playfulness removes pressure from the conversation. Women are drawn to men who make them feel good, not men who guilt trip them or demand explanations. If she comes back and you immediately question her, she will feel like she's being judged. But if you give her lighthearted banter, she feels safe to open up. Over time, this safe space encourages her to invest more effort and reveal her true intentions. Remember, when she returns, it's not your job to interrogate. It's your job to show composure, create comfort, and allow her curiosity about you to grow. Keeping things light also shifts the dynamic in your favor. When you're not chasing her or begging for clarity, you show her that you've been living your life just fine without her. That sends a powerful message. Your happiness and your peace don't depend on her. This creates a sense of intrigue because now she wants to know what's been going on in your life while she was away. That curiosity pulls her in, making her want to reconnect on a deeper level. If you stay cool and positive, she will often be the one who escalates the conversation. Attraction thrives in environments where there is fun, unpredictability, and good energy. When she feels that being around you or talking to you is enjoyable, she naturally wants more of it. But if every interaction turns into a heavy discussion about her absence or your frustrations, she will run back into silence. This is why lightness is not just a suggestion, it's a necessity. It keeps her walls down and her interest alive. Another important aspect to keeping it light is knowing when to end the interaction. Don't drag out the conversation the moment she reappears. Instead, keep it short and sweet. Give her just enough energy to leave her curious and wanting more. This is part of being playful. You're not glued to her. You're busy living your life, but you're open to reconnecting in a fun way. That balance creates an environment where she feels both safe and challenged at the same time, which is what keeps her engaged. So when she breaks her silence, resist the urge to make things serious too quickly. Keep your responses playful, your vibe light, and your presence enjoyable. Show her that your world is not heavy, complicated, or needy, but instead full of good energy that she'd want to be a part of. When you create this atmosphere, she naturally begins to lean in, invest more, and rebuild the connection, this time with far greater enthusiasm. When she reaches out after a period of silence, one of the biggest mistakes a man can make is to overcompensate by becoming too available or too eager. Key point 4 is about responding with calm confidence and maintaining healthy boundaries, which shows her that you're not desperate and that your life doesn't revolve around her. And this is essential because when a woman pulls away and later comes back, she is often subconsciously checking to see whether you've been waiting by the phone or if you've been living your life fully without her. If you respond in a way that demonstrates balance, strength, and self-respect, you increase her attraction rather than weaken it. Confidence in this context doesn't mean being arrogant or cold. It's about showing that you're centered and composed. Imagine she sends you a casual message after weeks of no contact. Maybe just a, "Hey, how have you been?" Instead of flooding her with long replies or instantly asking when you can meet, you take a moment and reply in a calm, short, and engaging way. That measured response communicates volume. It tells her you're not sitting around waiting, you're not emotionally shaken by her absence, and you're not rushing to please her. A man who has control over his emotions and responses stands out because so many men do the exact opposite. Boundaries are equally important. If she's left you hanging before, you shouldn't just allow her to come and go on her terms without any standards. For example, if she tries to casually slip back in your life without acknowledging the distance, you can still remain warm, but not give her the same access she had before. You don't ignore her, but you also don't immediately jump into deep conversations or drop everything for her. Boundaries create respect, and respect is the foundation of attraction. When she sees that you're not bending over backward just to secure her attention, she realizes she has to earn her way back into your world. This calm confidence combined with boundaries creates a powerful psychological effect. She starts to view you as a man who is in control of himself, not a man controlled by emotions or desperation. That steadiness reassures her that if she chooses to reconnect, she's stepping into a stable masculine presence that won't crumble under pressure. It's the opposite of neediness, and neediness is the number one killer of attraction. When you stay calm, you show her that you don't need her validation to feel good about yourself. You already have self-worth. Think of it this way. Women want to return to men who are strong, grounded, and consistent. If you give off the impression that her silence broke you or left you desperate, she will lose respect. But if you show her that you respected yourself during the silence and continue to do so when she returns, you become far more attractive. It's not about punishing her or holding grudges. It's about showing that your life is complete with or without her, and she's welcome to be part of it if she brings value. Even in subtle ways, your confidence should shine. Your tone of voice, the way you respond, and even how quickly you reply can all signal whether you're grounded or needy. A man who answers in a relaxed way, perhaps even taking a little time before responding, communicates that he has a life going on. That simple behavior makes her feel like she has to pursue your attention rather than the other way around. Women are naturally drawn to men who maintain this balance. Ultimately, the goal is not to play games, but to live authentically with self-respect. If you can respond to her outreach with calm confidence and clear boundaries, you set the stage for a healthier interaction where she sees you as the kind of man she doesn't want to lose again. And that is the exact energy that draws her closer instead of pushing her away. And when she finally reaches out after silence, key point 5 is about showing subtle interest without overwhelming her. Many men make the mistake of either being too cold and detached or swinging to the other extreme of being overly enthusiastic, which often kills attraction. The balance lies in being receptive enough to show her that you're open to reconnecting, but reserved enough to let her do the chasing. This approach communicates strength, self-control, and an understanding of her psychology. Women are naturally drawn to men who make them invest in the interaction because it creates a sense of value and mystery. Imagine she sends you a text after weeks of distance. The wrong move is to immediately pour out your feelings or ask her why she disappeared. That puts her on the defensive and makes you look reactive. Instead, a simple, lighthearted, and warm reply shows that you're not bitter or desperate, but you're also not bending over backwards. For example, if she says, "Hey, it's been a while," you could respond with something playful like, "It has. What made you think of me today?" This subtly puts the ball back in her court and makes her reveal her intention while you remain calm and in control. By keeping things light and measured, you make her feel comfortable enough to re-engage without pressure. At the same time, you create the space for her to show whether she is genuinely interested or just testing the waters. If she is serious about reconnecting, she'll make the effort to continue the conversation and even suggest meeting. If she isn't, her energy will fade quickly, and that will reveal where she stands without you having to push. This strategy saves you from unnecessary emotional investment in someone who isn't truly committed while keeping your dignity intact. Subtle interest also comes through in your tone and body language if you meet in person. You don't shower her with compliments or act as if you've been starving for her attention. Instead, you maintain eye contact, suggest it, or hint at it first. When you do agree, keep it casual and simple, something that doesn't feel like a huge effort on your part. That way, she feels like she's earning her place back into your life instead of being rewarded for minimal effort. This kind of dynamic makes her invest more emotionally, which strengthens the connection. It's also important to avoid giving mixed signals. Some men overcompensate by acting too indifferent, which can come across as cold or dismissive, pushing her away instead of drawing her in. The goal isn't to punish her for her silence, but to show her that you're not desperate and that she has to meet you halfway. Respond with kindness, but don't go out of your way to win her back. That kind of energy forces her to step into the role of pursuing you, which naturally increases attraction. By mastering this balance of subtle interest, you avoid the extremes that sabotage most men. You don't scare her off by being needy, and you don't alienate her by being too detached. Instead, you create an environment where she feels both safe and challenged. Safe because you're receptive, and challenged because she has to work to re-earn your attention. This duality keeps her intrigued and makes her feel that reaching out was the right decision. In the end, showing subtle interest without overcommitting gives her the opportunity to prove her intentions while allowing you to maintain control of yourself and the situation. And that dynamic is what sets the stage for deeper attraction and a stronger bond moving forward. Key point 6 is about setting boundaries with confidence when she reaches out after silence. This is the part most men overlook because they're so relieved or excited that she contacted them again that they forget to protect their own value. But boundaries are not about being cold or dismissive. They're about showing her that your time, energy, and emotional availability are not unlimited resources to be taken for granted. When you communicate clear boundaries in a calm and respectful way, you send a powerful message that you respect yourself, and that naturally makes her respect you more. When a woman goes silent and then returns, there's often a temptation to sweep everything under the rug just to keep her around. But doing that sets a precedent that she can come and go as she pleases without consequences. This is where your boundaries matter. You don't need to lecture her or bring up the silence directly in a heavy-handed way. Instead, you communicate boundaries through your actions and your standards. For example, if she disappeared for weeks and now wants to talk late at night or only when it's convenient for her, you're not obligated to be available. You respond when it suits you, not instantly, and you make it clear that you're not sitting around waiting for her. Boundaries are also about how you allow her back into your life. If she reaches out and you feel that she's testing you, you don't immediately offer her the same level of intimacy and connection that you had before. She has to earn that again. This doesn't mean being rude. It means pacing things so that she feels she's working to rebuild the bond. If she wants to see you, you let her take the initiative to plan or commit to a time. If she shows flaky behavior again, you calmly withdraw your energy instead of chasing or arguing. That sends a clear boundary. You don't reward inconsistency. One of the most powerful boundaries is simply living your life fully regardless of her presence. If she knows you have a strong sense of purpose, goals, and other priorities, she realizes that she cannot interrupt or control your world on a whim. This makes her think twice before disappearing again because she understands that your attention is not guaranteed. Boundaries, when expressed in this way, are not walls to push her away. They're structures that protect your emotional health and set the tone for a balanced relationship. Confidence in boundaries also shows in how you handle communication. If she's reaching out only with shallow small talk but never follows through on plans, you don't get dragged into endless texting. You keep your responses short, light, and pleasant, and then you suggest something concrete. If she doesn't follow through, you stop engaging. This shows her that your time has value and you don't entertain half-hearted effort. Over time, she learns that your boundary is clear, consistency matters, and you won't tolerate breadcrumbs. And it's also worth noting that boundaries aren't just for her, they're for you. They protect you from slipping back into old habits of overinvesting or tolerating less than you deserve. They give you clarity about what kind of treatment you're willing to accept. When you enforce these boundaries, you begin to attract not just her renewed respect, but also the respect of others in your life. It's a reflection of your inner strength, and women are always drawn to men who display that quiet, unshakable confidence. So when she reaches out after silence, remember this: your response should not be driven by fear of losing her again, but by your commitment to your own value. Boundaries aren't barriers that push love away, they are filters that allow the right energy in and keep the wrong energy out. By standing firm in them, you give her the space to prove her intentions while you continue to live with dignity and purpose. This is how you ensure that her return isn't just temporary, but built on a foundation of respect and genuine effort.